Hello, everyone. Tom Baker with Steering Wheel Nation, and we have in this spotlight a driver that I've known for a while, and actually I'm really proud of him because he's worked really hard to stay in the game as it is in NASCAR and as hard as it is. Ryan Vargas is our special guest, and Ryan had some big news just here very recently about his plans for 2024, and they involve a full season in the NASCAR Euro Series. Ryan, welcome to the Steering Wheel Nation Spotlight, and talk a little bit about what's going on with the Euro Series. Tell us about what you did last year there and bring us up to date on your plans for 24.
Yeah, no, we last week we put out the big news that I'll be running full time in the NASCAR Wheel and Euro Series with sponsorship from Critical Path Security, obviously. Just a huge honor to go out there and be able to race with those guys, travel the world. It's an absolute blast racing against those guys and racing on some of these tracks I've never been to. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to try something completely new. I did 2 races there last season, was well inside the top 10 in both those visits. Zolder, it was a bit chaotic with the weather. There was a lot of rain. And those guys know how to race.
I was going to say they're seasoned at it.
Yeah, they are seasoned rain guys. So, but it was really cool because for the first time in my career, I had to learn how to find speed in the rain rather than just simply staying on track. Because I've ran in the rain 3 or 4 times in Xfinity and trucks, and half the battle is just staying on track versus out there, it's find speed. So that's a new thing for me, trying to go fast in the rain rather than just trying to, lackadaisy drive around the track.
Sure. Let's talk about the differences in the cars. How are the cars over there different from the cars that you would race here? I know obviously they're not Cup cars. How close would they be, say, to our Xfinity cars?
They're quite a bit different. They got really suspension in the rear. They run basically. They have quite a bit less horsepower. I think they're about 450 horsepower. Severe tires, and the chassis are quite rigid. They're meant to, I guess you could say, favor some of the guys who come from Europe, from GT,
okay,
open wheel, karting type stuff, right? Where the cars are more, made for road racing. That's what these cars are made for. While it is a NASCAR stock car, it is still very much a road racing race car. I've had a lot of people tell me that they're very similar to a TA2 car.
okay.
In terms of the construction and how it drives, and so I'm gonna say it's similar, but I don't know because I haven't seen a TA2 car up close. But it's all spec. All the parts are spec. Everything from the motor to the gear to the suspension is spec. And I know that, to some people that's a taboo word, the word spec. But
I don't think it is.
Lends itself to great racing, and I know when I unload for the first race in Spain, I have the same stuff that the next guy has.
Yeah.
And that's a really good feeling. That was a big thing for me. That was advantageous to going out there, was the fact that, the money that my sponsors put in and the work that we put in, I'm going to have the same stuff that the next guy. It's not going to be a matter of, we didn't have as much money as this team. We didn't have the equipment as this team. No, there's no excuses now. How did your team set up your car and how hard did you drive it? That's your job.
What did you learn from a driving standpoint in your couple of shows that you ran there about yourself as a driver? Maybe something that you didn't realize you needed to work on, but now you know you do.
I remember calling my mom after, I would say, practice in Zolder. I was 5th or 6th on the charts, and all surrounding me were FIA champions, road racing champions, guys who had run Zolder their whole lives, champions in their own right in different types of road racing. And here I am, an oval guy, a guy who comes from America, totally different background, who is just driving the snot out of a race car. I haven't been able to drive the snot out of a race car in a long time. And that's not me saying anything bad about, what I've been doing. It's just something that I've had to be mindful of.
Sure.
I've had the role that I've had in NASCAR truck and Xfinity of, being mindful of how I race, making sure I keep the equipment in one piece and doing everything else. But for the first time in a long time, I am out there to win and get results. Try and find podiums, try and find top fives. Like I mentioned earlier, try and challenge, have an outside shot at a win. Um, it is so fun to think about the fact that I can go out there, drive the snot out of a race car, and go have fun. And I remember calling her just saying, "I have my mojo back."
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now you get a full season. Talk about the team that you're with because you're doing more with this team than just running the Euro Series. This is really sort of a future for you that involves much more than even just driving the car.
Yeah. I last season we announced that I took on the role of head of team and driver development over at 3F Racing. I've been fortunate to kind of work hands on with them trying to build up their program. I know that they're trying to do some stuff in the Cup Series, and I don't really have much say or roles in that front. Um, but what we're trying to do on our end is try and build that bridge for drivers over in Europe or drivers that are just racing internationally. Maybe a Brazil driver, maybe a Mexico Series driver, maybe a Pinty's driver, or even a late model driver out in the US, right? We want to be that bridge to allow drivers to have a chance to kind of be connected to a team that has the resources, that has the people. And it's really cool to hook my hat onto something that is so new. And I
Sure.
remember when a lot of people saw it, I remember seeing comments saying like, "Oh, you signed to a team that hasn't raced yet. Like, why? Like, what's the point?" But when you join a group of good people who have good intentions, who want to work hard to try and accomplish a goal, you want to give that effort. You want to work hard. And so I remember having the conversations of what we were going to do at the end of last year. And I remember telling them, I said, "Hey, like let's try this. Let's go run a Euro Series race. If we can go out there and run a race, that's going to silence a majority of the comments that we see, the majority of the negativity of like, oh, they're not
Right.
on track, they're on
Yeah.
track. We're on track now. We're racing. We're full time." And I think that's a huge step up for the team, for the organization, for everything that we're trying to do, for everything that we're trying to accomplish. And it's huge thanks in part to Critical Path Security. I know we have another associate partner in Copilot AI, just everybody who's been able to support this. And we have a couple associates that we're still have yet to announce for the Euro Series
That's
campaign.
great.
But it's just, you know, as anybody knows, racing is a difficult sport to get into, from the business end, from the competitive end, from everything. And so to be on track is a huge deal for our organization.
Talk about the business end a little bit and talk about because for Critical Path Security, I don't know if they're a worldwide company. I would assume they are if they're sponsoring this, but this must have been a very different approach to talk about, well, let's go racing in Europe. Talk about, first of all, you're a driver and there are multiples of you, but I think you're one of the ones that I see who's really had the most success. You go out, you get your own sponsors, you go through that whole process. It's not easy to do that. And you've been able to kind of keep yourself going, and obviously some years better than others. But this year, I feel like you put together a really interesting plan. But to do that, you obviously have to have that support from those sponsors. How did you approach that saying, hey, let's go racing in NASCAR in Europe?
Well, it was actually probably the easiest sell of my career.
Really?
Yeah, we when I approached Critical Path last year about doing the Euro Series races, they were hesitant, right? As anybody would, because
Okay.
it's you know to the American audience, not many people know about the Euro Series. Not a lot of people talk about it, and fortunately, there was a lot of good connections there. Critical Path is, they are available internationally,
Okay.
and so we looked at everything and they said, let's do this. Let's give it a shot. Let's try it. And with those Euro Series races that we did last year, they got so much publicity and just overall market, value in being on that race car in terms of like the notoriety from putting that deal together. We were able to really build a program around what we were trying to do on the marketing side. And we had so many more eyeballs than we've ever had. And so when I came to them at the end of last year and I said, "Hey, you know, what are our goals? What do we want to do?" And these conversations started, I would say, in like mid-October, late November. And they came to me and said, "Ryan, we really like the Euro Series. This is something that has a lot of potential. This is something that for us, we're able to do. And obviously with the content that we're able to put out, there's a lot more freedom we have over there in terms of the content that we're able to shoot and so on and so forth. So that's what we have interest in." And so now I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, I'm a NASCAR driver, right? I'm
Yep.
racing truck, Xfinity, doing all this stuff. And I'm like, is this the route I want to go? And I looked at everything and I said, absolutely. Because I've been doing the part-time Xfinity, part-time truck, part-time this, part-time that. And I haven't had full-time anything in years. In all reality, since 2018 when I was racing for Rev
Has it
Racing.
been that long? Wow.
So yeah, since I've been, full time. I ran a majority of, Xfinity seasons in 2021 and 2022, but never full time. And so putting something together that was consistent, that was gonna continuously bring value, and something that I could hang my hat on and say, all right, this is what I have. Let's go out here and compete and go chase results, chase an actual championship. And here's the other thing too. I'm 23 years old. I can go out and travel Europe. Like, why not now? Why not go out and
Yeah,
do this? Because
that's kind of
in
an
20
interesting
in
piece of this, Ryan, because you get it's kind of a way to get out and see some of the world and drive a race car at the same time. And I don't think the lifestyle change that goes with that can be sort of discounted. It's really kind of a bit of an adventure at your age, I'm sure, to be able to go and see some of these other places. And at the same time, while you're not the first driver that's run that series from America, you're certainly among the few. And, even Bobby Labonte and Myatt Snyder, I think, have both run that series. And, there've probably been one or two others, but there aren't that many. You get an opportunity to sort of blaze a trail a bit for yourself and do something a little bit different and see the world at the same time. What was that like last year to realize that you're racing in a totally foreign place? What was the fan reaction to you and all that?
Well, the biggest change for me was going over there and going down the highway. I actually got to drive on the Autobahn.
Oh, wow. How fast did you go?
Fast enough. And
he's not going to tell us.
The biggest thing I tell people all the time is when you go to a country that you don't speak the language of and you see the street signs go by and all the billboards and you can't read a single thing and you're at a place in a country on the other side of the world that you've never been to, all your senses on like, where am I?
Yeah.
Are out the window. Because when I'm here in the States, like if I go to Talladega, it's like, all right, I know I'm in Alabama. If I go, to Watkins Glen, I'm in New York. Like I know where I'm at. You don't know where you're at there. It's such a weird thing. And that was so cool. But the coolest thing for me, I remember walking through the fan zone in Osterschleben in Germany. And there were guys wearing Kyle Busch and Dale Jr. jackets. There were diecast resellers. There were merchandise sells. There was barbecue food vendors. There was country music playing. Like European NASCAR the NASCAR fan base is huge, and they are just as excited, if not, neck and neck with, the American audience. And it was really cool to see just how excited people were. And then on top of that, somebody came up to the paddock. paddock, not a garage.
Yes, paddock.
Somebody came up to my paddock and had one of my Hero cards from one of my Xfinity races. Like was ready to like wanted me to sign one of the Hero
Wow.
cards from one of my Xfinity races, and it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it.
So you have a fan base over there, at least one, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I keep getting tagged all the time. I
That's
still
great.
get tags from fans over in Germany and Belgium.
Well, that's fun. I mean, that has to be a real treat in something very different. Now, if you don't speak the same language as the fans, how do you communicate with them? How does that work? Like, they come up, hand you the card or whatever, and you sign it. But how do you communicate with them?
It's not bad. They're usually pretty. They're able to understand like thank you. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like
Universal
thank you,
language,
good to
right?
see you.
Yeah.
Like, they could tell I'm being like nice. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And when they start speaking, I can kind of tell like okay, they're they're excited. It's not really being able to understand what they're saying, but being able to understand what they're conveying.
Okay. Now, are you going to have to move there in order to run the full season, or is it spaced out enough where you can sort of fly over and run the race and come back?
Yeah, thankfully they're all pretty spaced out. I know that there's a few races in the summer that are about 2 weeks apart. I'm looking at that, and I might be staying out there. I don't know yet.
Okay.
Because we haven't completely booked entirely everything. But I'm probably going to stay out between 1 or 2 races. But for the most part, I'm going to be flying back every race. And that's mainly because I still have a career here.
Sure.
I still have my, racing operations here. I have my business here. I have everything that I'm doing here. I have my family here. I love what I have over in Europe, and I want to keep growing that. And who knows, maybe in a year or two, I make a move and go over there and do some more Euro NASCAR or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I'm just excited about the opportunity the fact that I get to go over, travel the world, drive race cars, and hone in my racecraft on something that I really didn't have a background in until when I started making my stock car, starts.
Yeah. Now, with this, are there doors? I mean, obviously, I know you still would love to be in Cup, but are there doors that could open from the Euro Series if you're successful because you're in Europe? Talk a little bit about what some of that looks like and could look like for you, because I feel like there's got to be some sort of road racing elevation there if you show well in that series, because there's a lot of drivers connected to other road racing series, right, that compete in NASCAR Euro.
Oh yeah, 1,000%. I have become a really big fan of sports car racing, GT racing. Through my friendship with Spencer Pampelli, Andy Lally, Bozy, those guys, Brad Perez. Obviously, he has a lot of connections to those groups, and I've been able to meet a lot of very, very, very talented individuals who race in that stuff or work alongside it. And when I was over doing the race in Belgium, Dennis from 3F took me to a lot of race shops over by the Nürburgring. I got to see the Nürburgring. Holy cow! But I got to see a lot of the race shops out there, and it was kind of crazy because it kind of set in. I was like, there's opportunity here. I was talking to some of the team owners, and like there's stuff that we can work on here. So, NASCAR's the goal. NASCAR's obviously that's been the goal since day one.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I've told myself since the very beginning that if I am that if I am racing full time or consistently at least and getting paid to drive race cars in whatever division, whether it's GT racing, NASCAR, monster trucks, whatever the heck it is, I want to do it.
Monster trucks.
I want to do it.
Wow.
And
There's
the
a
thing.
thought.
I want to be a professional driver. I want to do this. I'm here to race. And the fact that I've been able to have this opportunity, thanks to 3F and Critical Path Security, to go overseas and live a dream and live something that is that didn't seem feasible.
Yeah, it's incredible, really.
A few months ago, really,
Yeah.
about half a year ago. It's so cool.
Way to go. Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Thinking about the monster truck, we need a Cranio Care Bear monster truck. That's what we need.
Yes.
That's what we need. Now, I want
Yes.
to. That's my clever attempt at transitioning to something that I know is obviously a part of you. And I'm going to attempt to say this without even reading it from my notes. You were born with craniosynostosis. How close?
You said it
Hey,
right.
there we go. I'm
You got it
getting it.
right.
I've only been interviewing you for about 5 years now, so it took that long. But you were born with craniosynostosis, and that's something that I've met a guitarist, Peter Dankelson, who's a great rock and roll guitarist who has that as well and has some other challenges of that variety and has had a number of surgeries. Talk about craniosynostosis a little bit, what it is, talk about kind of how it's affected your life, and talk about the work that you do on behalf of others with cranio type challenges.
Yeah, thankfully I've been able to join FACES, the National Craniofacial Association, as a board member, trying to kind of help bolster their marketing efforts, kind of at least use my platform to help elevate their everything that they're doing. And last year I got to attend FACES camp, and I'll be attending this year once again. And they still have open applications, I believe. So I hope people are, any families who want to get their kids to incredible summer camp, they are available. Um, but for those who don't know, craniosynostosis, it affects 1 in every 2 to 3,000 kids. It's basically when your soft spots closes on an infant's head and fuses the sutures on the baby's skull. There's 4 sutures, boom, 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 boom,
Okay.
and and I had that, and I'm very fortunate to where I only needed one surgery, and I was only 11 months old, and I still have the scar to show for it. It goes all the way around my head. Um, but being, learning as much as I could about craniosynostosis and all the different craniofacial differences, I learned very quickly that A, I wasn't alone, but also B, how fortunate I really was. Because craniosynostosis, it ranges in severity. And I just gave you a thumbs up. But it ranges in severity. Um, you could have you could have it found at a very young age and only need to wear a helmet and maybe need some non-invasive surgery. You could be like myself and need a surgery like I did, or you could be like some of the other cases where you are in and out of the hospital for a lot of your young adult years. And it's really heartbreaking to hear some of the stories that I've
Yeah,
seen.
I bet it is.
You know Talking to some of these families, talking to some of these parents, a lot of these people don't know if their child's going to be healthy. They don't know if their child's going to be healthy. They don't know if they themselves is going to be healthy. Like if a young kid is going to be healthy, and to be able to work alongside faces and not just raise awareness but help raise funds to help them, get these people, the travel, costs covered so they can go get these surgeries. That is a huge, huge thing that they've been doing, and I'm very fortunate to at least have a small part in that. And just being able to be a voice for the cranio community, I think that's just been a really big thing for me.
How can people learn more about that and about faces? Where can they go? I know I'm sure there's a website. Talk about that a
Mm-hmm.
little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find faces at facescranio.org. And you can also find them online. I know they're on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. I highly recommend anybody check them out. They are an incredible organization that I've been very fortunate to work very hand in hand with. Kim Fox over there, she does a great job running it, and they have some incredible, incredible folks over there. I got to meet Emmy Sanders. She came through the program as a craniofacial, as another person with a craniofacial difference, and
Okay.
um, she does not let anything hold her back. And she has every reason in the world, you know, to be upset, to be mad that that she has a craniofacial difference, but she doesn't. She's probably one of the most positive, most incredible human beings I've ever met. And that's someone that I look up to. That's somebody that I look at and say, I want to be able to be that kind of voice for, anybody in the craniosynostosis or craniofacial community, because, you know, it's a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. It's a horrible birth defect that affects so many people. But I hope I could just at least provide a little bit of hope to some of these families.
Yeah, well, I know one of the things that you did, and I don't know if you're still doing it or if it's still available, but I thought it was the coolest thing ever with the Care Bears. Talk a little bit about what that was about. That was several years ago, but is that something you're still doing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I've gotten to work with Cranial Care Bears. They were one of the first organizations I got to work with, and they're another one that I highly recommend people checking out. They're an incredible group that, works, uh, alongside Faces, and they do an incredible job raising awareness for craniosynostosis and, providing care and support to those families who are going through the process of craniosynostosis surgery. And, I got to rep them in my Xfinity debut at Iowa. An incredible, just getting to meet all them and getting to talk to them. Summer and everybody over there, over the phone, and I got to run a little tribute on the car. Unfortunately, Brantley, her son, passed about 2 weeks, not 2 weeks, 2 years ago.
Oh,
And so that was a very unfortunate thing, and man, that's heavy. But I ran a decal on my car at Dover to honor him, and just it's unfortunate, how how life is.
yeah.
But I'm just proud to be able to represent the community and be able to at least show to people that you could chase these dreams, despite the difficulties, but also uplift those you know who don't have the opportunities, who aren't you know in the well-being or shape to go and do that. So just to provide everybody as much support and love possible.
Well, certainly appreciate all of that, and appreciate you being an ambassador and telling your story, because I'm sure it impacts others greatly. Okay, want to lighten the mood a little bit here to close this spotlight out. We have got some questions here, a little bit of a rapid fire for Ryan Vargas. Okay, so Ryan, here's the first question. What characteristic are you most known for?
Most known for? I guess you could say being in my positivity. A lot of people jump to my positivity pretty quick. Even in the worst situations, I always try and crack a smile, and that's just because I'm really happy to be in the sport and be able to have my place here.
For sure. Okay, if there was a sandwich named after you, what would be on it besides chicken nuggies?
I was gonna say it would be chicken, chicken, some pickles. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Chicken and pickles.
Man.
Okay. Sounds like the Elvis sandwich with peanut butter and banana. Okay. If you had to delete all but 3 apps from your smartphone, which ones do you keep?
Photos, YouTube, and notes.
Oh, interesting choices. Very practical choices. Okay. Which talent that you don't have would you most like to have?
Ooh, talent.
Which talent that you don't currently have would you most like to have?
I guess you could say dirt racing abilities. I've never done it before. I would like to hop into a micro and be fast.
Oh, I know some folks that could. You know some folks that could help you with that one, right here at Millbridge.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I'm sure I can get there with some laps, but I would like to just jump right in and be fast right off the bat, right?
Rhino in a micro. LeVar Scott, are you listening to this? Ryan needs your
I
help
know
here.
my boy LeVar.
Yeah, LeVar will hook you right up there. Okay, last one. If you could send a message to the entire world, what would you say in 30 seconds?
The biggest message I would say to anybody in the entire world is kindness is key. You know, if you're able to make somebody's day without being a detriment to somebody else, you know, that is the number one thing you could do as a human being.
Amen.
Why be upset? Why be mean? Why be bitter when you can be kind?
Well, Ryan, we appreciate you taking some time to be with us on the Steering Wheel Nation Spotlight, and we wish you all the best in 2024 with the Euro Series, and look forward to having you back on the show after you get your first win over there, because I know that's coming.
Oh yeah. I'm not there to parade around. We got the flashy graphics and the marketing materials, but we're there to race.
Well, and I know you're going to drive the snot out of the car till you get it to the front. So good luck over there and be safe in your travels. That is Ryan Vargas, and this Spotlight has been brought to you by TrackTune. If you're a track or event or series and you would like to enhance your fan experience by allowing them to hear the announcers even while the races are going on through their phone, TrackTune, their app, is the way to do that. Go to TrackTune.live and you can get all the details there. Get your track signed up. It is very inexpensive to do so. It is free for the fans to access, and it is all totally 100% sponsorable because, of course, it's an app. So just have the announcers promote your sponsor for it, and you can get your costs covered that way. It's a really cool way for the fans to be able to, and the teams of the pits, to keep an eye on what's going on and an ear to the ground for when they should be on the grid, etc. TrackTune.live, that wraps it up for this Steering Wheel Nation Spotlight. For more great content, steeringwheelnation.com, at The Wheel Nation on Facebook, X, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm Tom Baker. Thanks for watching.